Hi, I'm Kim and today I want to give you 7 tips to help you with smoother chord changes. This is a series all about helping beginner guitarists to get better at strumming. And if you haven't seen the other videos, I'll put links in the description. Tip number 1 is to choose your chords for the whole song. As a beginner, choose a song with only 3 or possibly 4 chords. These will often be the 1, 4 and 5 chords, and these are shown by Roman numerals that I'll show you on the screen now. If you don't understand what that means, you can check out the articles on my website, but an easy way to do it now is to use your fingers. So if I use my hand, I'm going to use my thumb as the 1 chord, and then I count across to the 4 chord on my ring finger and the 5 chord on my little finger. So for G, we go A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So once we go past G, we go back to A. G, A, B, C is the 4 chord, D is the 5 chord. So G, C, D. If we're doing D, we go D, E, F, G and A. So D, G and A are the 1, 4 and 5 chord. We can add minor keys, but I'll go into that right at the end of this video because I don't want to confuse you now. Tip number 2 is to choose your chord shapes. You might not realise, but every guitar chord can be played in lots of different ways. If you haven't discovered that power chords can be played in a different way, you could watch this video. I'll put a link. And I like a particular shape that I'm going to show you now because this can help you to stop needing to move up and down the fretboard too much. Instead of using the root on the bass and top string, we can use it on the middle string. For instance, if I wanted to play a D chord, if I put my first and second fingers on the 2nd fret of the top and bottom strings and play that open D in the middle, that's a D power chord because now I'm playing D and then 2 A's. So as we move every finger up 1 fret, we need to add on our middle string as well, the D sharp chord. If we're going to go up another one, that's an E chord. So we're playing E on the middle string and B on the bottom and top string. So if I wanted to play in the key of E, I'd need to play E up here on the 9th fret, A on the 2nd fret, and B on the 4th fret. And you can play it like that, but sometimes that's quite a lot of jumping around. So what I can do is play the E chord like this. A lot less moving around. Tip number 3 is instead of playing the bar chords with your finger across like that, to actually line up your fingers. Zooming up and down with your finger can make your fingers sore if you're not using a slide. But the other thing is it makes it really easy to move between different chord shapes. For instance, if I wanted to play the A chord going to the D chord, if I line up my fingers like that in a line, 2nd fret for the A chord, and then take that middle finger off, I'm playing the D chord. See, I'm just toggling that middle finger in and out. And you can move that up the fretboard. If I play these all in a line and then toggle off that middle finger, Tip number 4 is to know your chord shapes and know them really well. It's no good getting part way through a song and thinking, what was that chord? So to help you, if you haven't got fret markers on the side of your guitar, you can put stickers on, or you can even put a bit of masking tape on. Tip number 5 is to choose a strumming pattern that gives you a little bit of a break at the end of it. So you've got time to actually move between chord shapes. In my last lesson, I gave you some strumming patterns, and patterns 1 to 5 are quite easy because there's always a rest on the last beat of each bar, and that gives you time to practice your chord changes. And then the next few, 6 to 9, have got just a simple down strum on that last beat of the bar. So although it's getting a bit progressively more difficult, it's not too tricky. Only go on to things like pattern 10 and 11 when you're really confident that you can do your strumming pattern and not get lost. Tip number 6 is to always start slowly. You really need to remember that the guitar is all about the rhythm as much as the chords, and so you need to keep steady. I know it's really frustrating when you're playing slowly and you just don't know what it would sound like if you're playing quicker. So I have a quick tip for you. If you record yourself on your phone and then open that file while I use my podcast app, on my normal audio player on my phone, I can't speed things up. But when I open it in my podcast app, I use Pocket Cast, I can actually then speed up the music so that I can hear what it sounds like faster. Then I can really hear if I'm keeping steady or not, because as you speed up, you're really amplifying those changes and any mistakes sound really much worse. Tip number 7 is to play along with an external beat. Either use a metronome or a drum pattern. You can also play along with music, streamed music or a CD or something. The trouble with that is that you have to actually match the chord patterns, because it sounds horrible if you don't know the chord shapes. We talked about the 1, 4 and 5 chords earlier. Now I want to tell you a little bit about the minor chords. The minor chords are found on the 6 and 2. So if we'll go back to G as the 1, C as the 4 and D as the 5. If we pretended there was another finger here, that would be the 6, and that would be G, A, B, C, D, E. E is the minor chord of G. So if we wanted to add in one minor chord, I would suggest you start with the 6 chord. Another minor chord though is the 2 chord, which in this case would be G, A, because A is the relative minor of the 4 chord. If you can play the 1, 4, 5, 6 and 2 chords, you can play thousands of songs. And it's really worth practicing playing all those chords in different orders with different strumming patterns. As you do this, you'll suddenly find that you're playing something that sounds familiar, and you'll start to work out your own chord shapes, your own strumming patterns, and you might even start writing your own music. Bye for now.